Good Friday morning. Welcome to Ice Age TV. And wow, isn't this different? You're seeing a big old Ram truck sitting here, the Indian Challenger front plate. Wonder why I have one of those, right? Why would I have an Indian Challenger on the front of my Ram truck? Well, because I own one. It's down there in Tennessee. Wife just drives the heck out of that Ranger. Yeah, same spot, right? If you watch my YouTube channels, man, I see that car in the same spot every day. It's not an electric vehicle. It's supposed to do all these miraculous things to save the planet and the earth, and that saves you all this money and gas and time, and wow. But you know, nobody drives it. You don't even drive it. Wow. But gas is so expensive. Why would you drive that, right? Right. Man. Wow, it's Friday. Can't believe it's Friday. Oh my goodness, I gotta go to work. You know, I thought to myself this morning, woke up. I mean, this is no embellishing or lying. You know, yesterday, late last time, thinking, what am I going to talk about today? I have no idea what I'm going to talk about today. When I woke up this morning, the first thing that popped in my head is today Friday or Saturday? Whoa, I got to go to work. I thought to myself, wow, work. Oh my goodness gracious, that black truck there? Yeah. Yeah, see, you noticing it? Okay, glad you're noticing that. Great. Come on, puppies, let's go. Let's do the usual. You're screaming, yelling at the dogs, right? Yeah, so look at this shirt I got. Down to that museum, Dale Walkerson's museum, Wheels Through Time. I love his stuff down there. I go down there and buy a shirt, and I bought some hats from him. Sad story, that man that worked his ass off his whole life, and he's gone from his habits. He was a big smoker, apparently. I guess lung cancer got him, but anyway, so you're in the shop. Come on, pups, let's go. Come on, get in here. Time to go to work. Who hasn't heard that, right? Time to go to work. That seems to be a very common statement. Am I right or wrong? So, yeah, so this morning, you know what would be a good conversation is work. Let's talk about work. Because, wow, more than, hey, get out of there. Get out of there. My dog's over there wanting to get in the garbage because I had some chicken. And he's thinking, hey, Dad, I'm going to get some food out of the garbage can and make a mess. Right? Yes. Come on. Come on, come on. Everybody accounted for? Everybody's accounted for, so we can get in here now. If I can close the door without spilling my coffee, that'll be a miracle. I did it. Oh, come on, pups. It's the same routine, different day, right? Isn't that what life and work is all about? Creatures of habit. Wow. Change up. The one dog just sits there versus the other dog. Yeah, so anyways, once again, what could be a good conversation for my YouTube channel today that would intrigue people to watch my channel? Because that's the challenge. If you're a YouTuber, how do you get people to pay attention to you without misleading the facts and truths, right? I haven't had much coffee yet. It'll start making me cough and hack. When you have GERD, it's your esophagus. So what happens is, every now and then you hear me cough. And it's just weird. Because that GERD stuff, some days you don't think you really have anymore. Then another day, it's like your body's like the weather. It cycles. It'll be some days, and I didn't really change my eating habits or anything, and I'll be coughing half the day. I mean, one day at the dealership, it was embarrassing. I just got this cough and hacking going on like never ever in my life. And I mean, I had to go outside the dealership and drink water. It was so embarrassing. It's the GERD, acid reflux. Anybody out there getting acid reflux? You better start taking serious Tums. Basically you want to break down the acid in your stomach. That's what's going on. Your stomach has so much acid in it that your flap in your stomach comes back up and gives you that heartburn and everything. If you can't get a control on that, you can't control that esophagus flap. It's GERD, and it's radical. It can kill you. You can get cancer. Yeah, Barrett's disease. I mean, it's bad. I thought I had that years ago. You have no idea. Anyways, let's talk about work. That's really the message this morning. I thought to myself, more than ever in my lifetime, it's just amazing what I'm witnessing in the stories I hear about work. And now more than ever in our society, we are paying dearly because of the work habits that have evolved since the pandemic in the world. And sure, mankind's always had a challenge with work, but I'm saying for us right now, we didn't live 100 years ago. We're talking today's economics and today's infrastructure and today's society. And I think that it's really interesting. I've made these comments in kind of subtle way and talked about this off my video a few times. And maybe I did mention a few times. Part of me says that people are making more money and are a little better financially than most realize than previous downturns in our country. And I could be totally wrong on that, but I don't know. I tell you what, for the businesses I'm going to, it isn't like the lights have turned off. Now, I live in a very affluent area. I live in the D.C., Virginia, Maryland area where it's the government base. And so it's such a solid, economy in this area because it's the government. Who gets all the money? When you go broke, if you owe the taxpayer money, you can't write that off. Ask me how I know. In payroll taxes that I got into with the IRS trying to manage a company, that doesn't go away. Yeah, so for the people that pay into the government system, the government where I live has guaranteed money coming all the time. Downside is they're overspending their guaranteed money, which that's not good, right? But the whole point is, I think today it's possible people make more money than ever. And this inflation, is it being a little overhyped? And people are just crying in the blues because their fund money has disappeared. And once again, I know there's so many variables to that comment. I get it. But what I'm trying to share this morning of my views and ideas and thoughts is that more than ever in our society, work has impacted every one of us. And what I mean with that is, we all have heard a story now since the pandemic came in that we're paying more for everything because it's work related and it's supply related issues. Well, that's a no-brainer. If people don't show up, then whoever's making things for you can't make things, so you get supply chain issues. If you don't have enough truckers on the road driving around delivering things, the list goes, it's infinite. But what I think to myself is, I think more today than ever, the perception of work, I think, has changed. Because for me, when I was in high school, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I wasn't bred to be the lawyer, the doctor. That just wasn't my upbringing. My mother and father weren't brought up that way. They just came up like most of us. So, but there's families that have lawyers and doctors and engineers and scientists, and they just kind of know how to groom their kids to become like them one day. It doesn't mean they all do, but I've always have said behind every great quarterback is a better quarterback or a great coach. For Peyton Manning and his brother, his dad was a phenomenal coach and a leader for them to be who they are. Usually behind a great individual is somebody greater or somebody that was their mentor that got them there in life. That's just the way it is. John Force and Brittany Force, do you honestly believe if Brittany Force was my child, she'd be in the NHRA top fuel? There's no way, because I don't have that. That isn't who I am. So you can just go through a list of people that we see today that are very successful in their careers, and usually 9 times out of 10, somebody behind them made them that way. Yeah, and there's definitely people that made their own way as well, but usually it's a lot of support behind the scenes. So what I'm saying is, I think to myself, when I was in high school, my biggest concern was, would I get a job? Would I actually qualify to work in the world, and could I actually have a decent job? And even when I went and applied for a job, I felt rewarded if they hired me. But yet today, more than ever, you censors this subliminal message to people that, you can work anywhere you want, and they should be so happy you even come to work. And if you don't pay me enough, I ain't coming to work. So to me, it seems like the pandemic really magnified more than ever in my generation, my time, that people can have any job they want. And don't get me wrong, I'm talking about just in general language of people that are qualified to do jobs, and they have many options. And if you don't treat them right, they're going to just go somewhere else so they get treated better. Well, we've always heard that's the biggest challenge in workplace and managing people is, do you treat them right and pay them right to keep them around? But it just seems like more than ever in our society, the underlying message is, well, maybe you don't even have to work. I mean, borderline, the governing bodies of our country, in my opinion, have created, I told you it's going to cough, right? Have created this, I think, perception that you're entitled to do what you want, and more so, the system owes you. Yeah, the system owes you, and maybe you don't have to work. I mean, wow, what's a socialist-driven, society? Yeah, everybody's treated the same. Everybody kind of makes the same. Okay, well, yeah, we kind of know, and that can get very divisive on my channel. There's younger people that think socialism is better than capitalism, and the list goes on and on and on. And I'm not going to go down that path where it turns into a political argument with people watching my channel. The work is related in my lifetime to every car and truck and motorcycle that I've ever owned because I worked for it. Nobody gave me that stuff. I had to work for it. And that was always a passion of mine, was going to work, because that's one of the things that drove me wanting to work, because I wanted to have a car. I wanted to have my freedoms. And this is not word, freedoms. That when you make money, you ever notice that people have all the money, usually have more of an arrogant attitude or an aura around them, like, versus the people that work very hard to make a living and appreciate their job, they seem more appeasing to people. Yeah, that's the biggest thing about rich people is a lot of people don't like them because they're financially independent. They don't rely on you. They don't have to do anything to make you happy because they already have their wealth. Versus if you're a person that's in business or you're a waiter or you're a server, if you have customers, you have to appease them to get your reward of money. But yet the rich people that just have the monies and already made their wealth, they come across more as snobby and they don't care about you and they're special. That's a big problem. But back to, the work ethics in our country, I think more than ever that the pandemic magnified, it's like we had a cut and paste type of time frame. That's what I kind of think. It's kind of like we took a 2-year time out in life. Definitely 1 year. I mean, think of all the people that went home. I mean, I was saying this during the pandemic that once the pandemic's over, who wants to go back to work? The people that are remotely working from home, they're going to be like, why am I driving back to work? And you're now hearing more than ever that people are arguing about that with their employers. Their feelings are that I can work from home and everything's fine and dandy, but now you're going to force me to start spending 2 hours a day again driving back to work. Yeah, that's going on. But at the same time, employers too are trying to just say, okay, you come in 2 days a week instead of 5 days a week, or you come in 3 days or whatever they have off on. So actually, employers are trying to appease individuals to try to help them feel like they're respected and appreciated, and they do have a little bit more freedoms because that's what it's all about. When you work, you don't feel like you have your freedoms because you're tied down to do your duties and your work. But yet, more than ever today, our society in our country, I feel, is getting mixed messages. And I think, sadly, one party has a position versus another party. And one party has a position more of rewarding others not to go to work because their position to getting their movement to be elected and to be in power is they're going to give out more government handouts to help those that aren't self-sufficient. And don't get me wrong, I'm not by any means against governing bodies helping those that need help. That isn't really the message. The message is, I think, unfortunately, the governing bodies have created, in some ways, too many hands out that sends the wrong message. I mean, I think that the inner cities the problem is women have kids and they're paid to have kids. And the fathers don't have to take responsibility because they do a disservice to the woman if they try to help them because then they don't qualify for government assistance to have the kid. So which then you have a fatherless home, which I think that's the number one problem in our society more than ever is that, young people grow up with no father figure, and it's just known, it's a huge difference of their upbringings of who they are, and that's why I think the inner city has such big problems. And then you add on to that, you think to yourself about how we're witnessing a lot of thievery and crime, and it goes back to your work ethics, that people are being kind of taught that you deserve something. That person doesn't deserve it, and you just have the right to take that from them, and you don't have to go to work to earn that, to be able to have that. And that's the biggest thing for me, whether you realize it or not, is I don't want anybody to give me anything. I really don't. I enjoy working. I enjoy being able to say I accomplished this, and since I accomplished this, I reward myself. Yeah, well, yeah, my reward is me buying cars and trucks and motorcycles all the time. That's my reward. But that's just who I am. That's just what has driven me to work so hard all my life. And I was seeing myself this morning. I've been working now for over 40 years. And I think to myself, wow, there's so many people I know that retired after 25 years. If you're military or EMT or LEO, you do have the option, and somebody could correct it, but my understanding is 25 years of service, you have the option to take a pension and retire. And I know of people that have done that and are now working again. They didn't just want to take it not to work. They wanted to take it to move on from their career and do something else, have a little more flexibility and freedom. And so I think to myself, like, wow. In fact, even to the point that when I got out of high school and I know that I could go to the fire department, I would have probably gone to the fire department. But when I got out of high school, in a public servant didn't make any money. Back in 1980, 81, 82, your firefighter didn't make any money. And so if I had known back then that I could have gone into the fire department and possibly risen in the ranks to be a captain, and I put my 25 years in, and I retire and I have a full benefits and compensation package, or I would say conservative in this area, it's worth 40 to 80 grand a year, just depending what rank you come in and retire at. Wow. And then I could go do other things in my life as well, but I didn't know. I was taught that the private sector is where you'd make the money, in which you can see that, I've accomplished that on my end, but very challenging. And, once again, like I just told you, I came out of high school. In high school, I worked. I came out of high school, and I've never stopped working. So, so for me, I'm 40 plus years of working. So somebody watch my YouTube channel, they see all my toys and goods, and their perceptions, oh, this guy, he just say somebody, yeah, right. Nobody gave me anything. I don't want anything. I mean, if you're around my family and you knew me personally and you talk to people like, no, he doesn't ask for anything. He doesn't want anything. I enjoy giving to others, whether you realize it or not. So back to the work, ethics. And I think that right now, if we look around, we're now paying more for everything you want. Well, we know that the governing bodies have wanted to increase the minimum wage for places to be $15 an hour. California's trying to get to $22 an hour for, restaurant employees. There's some fine guidelines here. The media never tells you the truth on that. That it's just to certain food establishments. It isn't every restaurant. So that's a whole other. It's always the media never tells you the truth. But the thing is, when I look around and I think to myself today, what do you hear more than ever? And what you hear out of people's mouths, I can't find anybody to work for me. I can't find somebody to complete the job or the work to be done. And that's a big problem. But what's driving this narrative? What is driving our country's society to, you're hearing borderline the message that you should just stay home, or you can just work from home and blah, 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 which I'm not being critical of anybody that works from home. I'm just saying that it seems more than ever the narrative is that your employer should be lucky you even come to work today and do something for them. And why? Well, we know because there's a shortage of people to work. So that creates a supply and demand of workers. And so people take a different position of who they are and how valuable they are for a worker. So should we really be surprised at this point in this country, the inflation is through the roof? I mean, it's been more than ever all about supply and demand. And now the gloom and doomer guys on YouTube channels, it's massive. How many gloom and doom people are out there telling everybody everything's going to come to the end? And even myself, I've told you that I feel like that by the end of this year, the stock market's in a tank. Even myself, I'm even part of it, but not as radical as just my YouTube channel every day is gloom and doom. I just speak about, what I think is going to probably play out. But I don't think that the country's just going to go broke and out of business. I don't see that. I see an adjustment. And even the point, I went by the parts place yesterday at the Dodge dealer, the Ram dealer, to get a part for my diesel truck. And the black one's sitting out there that's not running, which I got to get that resolved, which I'm going to get that resolved. So the whole point is, when I was over there, I made a video. I don't know if I can't keep track. Yeah, I showed you a video, I think, of me driving around the Jeep Grand Wagoneer that I think is a really nice vehicle. These are $100,000 plus vehicles, and they had 3 of them or 4 of them. They're all gone. They've sold every one of them. So when I was there yesterday, I was talking to them, and they're selling cars left and right. They're not. I mean, do I think they've slowed down some? Yeah, I do. Do I know that most dealerships have slowed down some? Yes, they have. But they're still selling vehicles. But you watch the gloom and doom guys that predict the whole country's and just the lights are going to turn off, and the housing market's going to be a shambles beyond shambles. And is it really happening? But it goes back to the work ethics. When I'm trying to convey this morning, I think more than ever in our society, what we're now part of is the work ethics. The work ethics aren't the same as they were prior pandemic. I will just use that as an example. I wouldn't say it's evolved over time, where there's not as many people in the workforce as what we're being told. And that's a challenge. And even the point that major companies, have gone to self-service checkout. Like I'm noticing more than ever, these big C-store gas stations, like Sheetz up here where we are, and Rural Farms, you go in and you can check yourself out now after you buy your goodies, eliminating cashiers, having to be 3, 4 cashiers in the front line or 2 or whatever. Now you don't maybe only need 1. And then we have Elon Musk who's creating the robot, the human robot, and we have manufacturing using robots. And so you go back to what's the message to the younger generation about, work? And don't get me wrong, I think there's some incredibly talented young people that work their tail off. That isn't me by any means calling out youth on work. It's very broad of people that will work and won't work. But I think that right now we're all part of the work challenges more than ever because we're paying more for things and it takes longer to get things done because people don't want to go to work. Yeah. Or the only way they will go to work is if you pay them a pretty penny. I mean, how many people here can relate with to find a contract to come work in your house? Yeah, I mean, for the most part during the pandemic, it's been you can't find one. They're booked up. And the next thing you're going to hear is they're very expensive. Yeah, then the next thing you hear is they didn't complete the job you want them to do. Right. So for me, the message this morning, I thought to myself, is that more than ever, work, I think, is challenged in our country because we have a media machine that's trying to promote, I believe, the socialist society where everybody's going to be one, which I don't like that idea. Everybody gets a trophy because that's been a driving factor of my own success in my own life is I've been able to be myself and do what I want to do and create my own wealth without somebody telling me what I can and can't do to a degree. You have to have governing bodies and businesses, so it's just not that simple. But it's not that I was told to just not do much because then it's unfair to the next person, which that's borderline the subliminal message being told to, I think, the younger generation that you don't want to be better than them because that's not nice then. I mean, oh my gosh, the better for mankind, just everybody becomes one. I can't see that really being a solution to society, making society better. We all like the competition to become better. I mean, that's been my whole life. That's why I played sports. You want to see if you can be better than the person you're playing against. That's what drives your goals and your disciplines to train and not give up and not quit. That's just the foundation of what makes you into an individual in society. That's why I think sports is really cool, even though I think sports has gotten too political. It's sad, but I think that's why sports is such a physical moment that tells you the reality to what you can and can't do and how you can get better, just like learning and going to school and everything else. But I think that right now, If you look around us, sadly, we just witnessed a lot of people sitting at home and getting paid to sit at home. Yes, I mean that, but the governing bodies felt that was the right decision to protect us from all dying from a virus. Yeah, and that's a whole other conversation I could get going down on, which I'm not. There's no way, because the virus and the vaccine, it's just a total divisive argument where it just turns into, I don't want to talk to you anymore. I have friends and family and people I know, and it's just, nothing's accomplished from it. Forget that. I'm not going down that road. I want to have a YouTube channel where I share my fun and my enthusiasm of the vehicles I own, and I also like to try to share on how I came to where I am in my life through my ideas and views, and I can only hope that this radiates back to others to understand, because the media machine isn't your friend. It's not your friend. I mean, the media machine, I've always thought this for so many years. Why does big business want you as an individual become so successful that you can become big business to put them out of business? I mean, it just boggles my mind and how people think. Does Jeff Bezos want me to become bigger and better than him, to run him out of business one day? I mean, that's not going to happen. But the whole point is, the big guy wants to keep you down. He wants to keep you way down the ladder. He doesn't want you to compete against him. Yeah, monopoly, control, right? And that's more than ever. It's kind of like being taught is everything needs to be one. Well, it's because then there's only the power of one managing many ones. Yeah. Hello, is anybody figuring this stuff out? Just look at China. Yeah, so sadly in our country, the voices have to be heard by people just saying that's not right. It's not acceptable. And we're a very compassionate society for the most part. Thank God, the majority of us have our head on right, because a lot don't. But for the most part, the amount of people that donate money from their wealth to help others is massive. But the governing bodies today, more than ever, are trying to separate us. But at the same time, they just always want to cave to their views and beliefs that we are just one. We don't have the creativity. That's the danger of government just controlling everything. But yet, more than ever, so many people think that more government regulations and rules is going to make your life better. But it won't. It'll be more expensive and more controlled. So for everybody out there, that's why I talk about the green agenda so much, is because that's a prime example of the governing bodies of the world taking control of your future. And they know the future, which I've had these conversations. Think about my conversations. The future, time, all this stuff is work related. How long does it take you to work? It's all about time, right? I'm looking at my watch right now, and I'm out of time. I got to get to work. So anyways, yeah, I'm on another venture. I'm on another adventure. Yes, I am, but I don't know. This would be really interesting. I don't know. I'm just not going to say much this time. But if the adventure plays out, yeah, would it be a today adventure? It would. Yeah, am I crazy? I'm crazy. I got to write down on a piece of paper every car and vehicle I've purchased this year to see how many I've done this year. And this will go down in my lifetime, the most vehicles I've ever bought my whole lifetime. And I've always had goals. So realize it or not, I had a goal to own X amount of cars at one time in my lifetime. And I actually accomplished that and exceeded that. Now, I don't own the same amount of vehicles I used to. So believe it or not, I actually have borderline a third to half of what I used to have, all right? Yeah, so anyways, yeah, the Iceman, I can talk, and yes, I can talk. I love to talk. I love to share my ideas. And once again, I think that the message today is work. What's your passion for work? And that's what's so interesting to me about Carnegie, Dale Carnegie, the steel magnate that built this country, that was so intrigued to know what made people go to work, what made people, successful. And that's why he interviewed individuals to come into his office. So what Dale Carnegie, unbeknownst to people, Dale Carnegie wanted to find somebody to research human beings, basically mankind, as to what made them tick. What made one person so successful over another person wasn't successful? And so he he interviewed people, and he had a little stopwatch behind his desk, and people would come in, and he had a 30-second time frame where he'd ask a person, I want you to write a book on what makes people successful. And I will provide shelter, roof, and food for you during your endeavor. Will you do this? And if somebody didn't answer in 30 seconds, they were disqualified. Well, Napoleon Hill was the only one that said, yes, I will take that challenge on. And that's the one I talk about, is the book he wrote, Think and Grow Rich. And Napoleon Hill, I think, did a phenomenal job in him explaining on qualities he saw in people that made them different from others. And I think he hit it. I mean, I think he did it. It's like the Bible of life to me, because it's so factual. Because he said, do you have a positive mental attitude? Do you have sound physical health? Do you have freedom of fear? Do you have harmony in relationships? Do you have the capacity for applied faith? Do you have willingness to share your blessings with others? Are you engaged in the labor of love? Do you understand others? Do you have complete self-discipline? So he has 12 steps that I didn't go through all 12 of them to a T on that. I could try again, I guess. Positive mental attitude, sound physical health, hope and future achievement, capacity for applied faith, freedom of fear, want to share blessings with others, be engaged in labor of love, own mind, all service, all people, complete self-discipline, knowledge to understand others. The 12th is financial security. And he said if you master that, you get the 13th, which is the sixth sense. Write down those 12 steps, and you go through a checklist every day of your life you get out of bed, and see if you can check off all 12 of those. Yeah. Look around anybody you know and see if they qualify. But it all relates to work. That's your work ethic. What I just talked about is the work ethic that creates you to be a bigger, better person. Or, I don't know, I'm not here to judge anybody. So, hey, everybody, thanks for watching my YouTube channel, Ice Age. It is about cars, because if you don't go to work, you can't buy a car. Yeah, right. So, God bless. Everybody stay safe, and stay tuned for a possible another car adventure, truck adventure, SUV adventure, motorcycle adventure, boat adventure, lawnmower adventure, tractor. Okay. Thanks, everybody. God bless.